Hulu has been doing some interesting remakes of old franchises. Prey, for example, actually turned out to be a pretty decent movie. And that was a reboot remake of the original. I think it actually takes place in the same timeline, I'm pretty sure. So it's a prequel, but it's actually pretty good. I liked it. And it had everything going against it because of the way that the movie was being marketed. You had the actress running around saying that it's going to be a movie that takes on the patriarchy and gender roles and all this stuff. And when you watch it, it's actually really good. And I don't know how well that movie did. I know it trended, but that really doesn't mean that much. I've heard from people that I trust that said they also think it was a pretty decent movie, at least. So I think the movie was well received. Now, the next one is Hellraiser. This is a reboot, from what I understand. This does not have anything to do with the past movies. I watched the trailer for this and was actually so interested in it that I went back and watched the first two Hellraisers for the first time. I'd never seen them before. When I was a kid, the concept scared me and I never watched it. And then I just forgot about it until recently. And it's a damn good movie. The first two are really good. I hear the ones after that are mixed. I think I'm going to watch them anyway. The characters, these Cenobites, are really interesting. I almost think they're more interesting than any of the other iconic franchises. Halloween, Freddy Krueger, Nightmare on Elm Street, Friday the 13th. I think Hellraiser beats them all. The first two hold up till today. And that's a lot of praise to the makeup people and the effects people. That movie holds up pretty damn well, considering how old it is. I loved it. So now I'm really excited for this movie. I watched the trailer, and I actually think this looks really good. Will it be good? I don't know. First reactions are out there, and they're, of course, all saying it's good. I can't put a lot of faith in first reactions because first reactions are always positive usually. So I don't know. It's tough to say, but from the trailer alone, I liked it. Now, the reason I'm making this video isn't to praise it. It's because of the bad faith of the Hollywood Reporter and how they're marketing this interview. Okay? Director David Bruckner talks updating Hellraiser for a modern audience. First off, this is language from Brian Davids here, the guy who wrote this. He also writes this: the filmmaker had no fears about making the antagonist female despite certain corners of the internet decrying on-screen representation. And then he uses an actual quote: we always knew that made sense given the history of the franchise. Okay, so there's a lot to unpack here. First off, the director didn't say any of this shit. This is this guy right here, or Brian Davids, who wrote this. He asks the director these questions, and he handled them very well. And I want to go over this because this is Brian Davids trying to start bullshit with fans. This is the bad behavior of media journalists and how they like to go after people like me, Neurotic, Az, Jeremy from Geeks and Gamers, Ryan. They like to go after us because we criticize bad movies. She-Hulk is an awful show. It's an awful show. One of the worst shows, I think, in existence. Okay? The reason that show is criticized is because it's a bad show, not because the show stars She-Hulk, as people like Brian Davids would have you believe. If Hellraiser Reboot is good, no one's going to complain about the female Pinhead. I actually think that this looks really good. I like this neck stuff here. I think that it's interesting. I like that she has sewing pins. I believe that's what that is. I think that that's pretty cool. I think it's interesting. Did Pinhead have sewing head like string? Or did he just have like nails? I can't remember. In the second one, it looked like they were hammering in nails. So I don't know. I'm very new to this franchise, but I want to go over what this guy's doing. So he's using all this language, modern audience. It's like this guy's trying to bait outrage. I'm not outraged about this movie. I'm not mad about it at all. It looks good. If it's good, I'm going to be very happy because I love good horror movies. But he's in here putting all this garbage in here and trying to get the director to say something. And I want you to listen to this. So he does it, I think he does it twice. Here's the big one. These days, outrage is often manufactured and feigned by people for personal gain, and we see it particularly every day in the online movie space. So were you fully prepared for bellyaching over a female Pinhead, even though female Cenobites have existed since the original film? He says, we were never afraid of it. We always knew that a female Pinhead made sense given the history of the franchise and the kinds of fans that have embraced it. It was a way for us to not replicate Doug Bradley's incredible, iconic performance. There had been a lot of precedent in the franchise. The original book that it's based on, The Hellbound Heart, was suggestive of a female Pinhead, and the comic books also explored that idea. There's also plenty of fan art, wonderful works of all theorized the possibility of Pinhead as a woman, so it only felt appropriate to us. Now, I actually know somewhat what he's referring to here, and that's the Boom comic book run where Kirsty from the first two movies, and I think she was also in a later sequel, is actually brought to hell and she becomes a hell priest. It's actually, I haven't read it, but the idea is really cool. I watched Mr. H's video on it. I thought that was interesting. It made me want to read the comic book run. I want to watch the movies first and then read that. So I do plan on getting to that eventually. I think that that's a really cool idea. And I get what he's saying here. It's like, look, we want to do something different. I understand that. But you notice he's not here like talking shit on fans. All of that is coming from the writer of this article who seems pretty upset that people criticize bad shit. Like, first off, all the criticisms that he's trying to say isn't manufactured. It's often something like Rey from Star Wars, the Star Wars sequels, who's an awful character. Daisy Ridley's acting, not good in that franchise. So people criticized it. But that's supposedly a manufactured outrage. Same with Captain Marvel. He's an awful character. People criticize that. So naturally, this happens. You even have Prey, where people were hostile to the fan base before it came out, and it turned out to be a good movie. None of that was necessary. People would have people loved that movie, Prey. A lot of people liked it, including me. So, doing all that shit that's pandering to the media, it's just unnecessary. Just embrace your fandom and put out a good product, and it'll be fine. I haven't seen anybody bitching about female Pinhead. Honestly. I haven't seen anybody say anything about it. I think most people with this one are waiting for the release. Now, people would be talking about it if the woman who's playing Pinhead was running around and calling everybody sexist. That's what gets people pissed. When you run around and you defame them and call them garbage people before your product even comes out, it usually does not help and will end up hurting whatever you're doing. All for media points that this guy's doing. So this guy baited the director to try to get him to do it. And I think his response was actually pretty good. I'm going to be honest. He just said, fans have embraced it, and it was in the original movie. It's also in the book, and there's comic books that explore this. She looks like that Kirsty Pinhead, too, by the way. It looks like that inspired this look. I don't have a problem with it. I like the I like that the box cuts. I don't know if that happens later in the movie. In the first two, well, I don't think it wasn't like that in the first one. It didn't have a thing that came out and cuts you. I like that it's like a covenant now, like that takes your blood and puts it in the box. I think that's a really cool idea. But it's just funny. This guy's trying to bait him into all kinds of shit and even makes it look like it. Like it kind of makes this headline makes it look like the director was acting in bad faith when it's really the writer. And this is a good example of Brian Davids here trying to bait outrage so he can write articles now on Hellraiser fans being toxic. I'm calling him out, not David Bruckner, who seems to have a genuine like for this franchise and wants to do a good job. And I'm willing to give it a chance. It comes out October 7th. I'm going to watch it when it drops. I'm excited to watch it, actually. It looks fun. If it's a good movie, I think people will be happy with it. I've really been enjoying this Hellraiser stuff. I think it's a great franchise, and I'm sad that I waited so long to watch it, to be honest. Anyway, let me know your thoughts on this. How do you guys feel about it? Also, if you would, please like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, check on my locals, comment, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace. Make sure to check out my locals. There's a link in the description. It's a fun community that I'm trying to build over here. If you don't want to support me on YouTube, you can come over here. None of that money goes to YouTube. You also can just come over here for free. But if you are a supporter over here, I do plan on doing an extra live stream once a month and throwing links to the supporters so you can actually come on and have a supporter live stream with me. Also, it's a good place to catch all of my content. You don't have to worry about notifications like YouTube. They'll definitely work over here. So come check out my locals.